In this video, we're going to go through some of the initial riding techniques and safety precautions when taking the first initial ride. So first thing I like to do is set the seat height for a customer. So for myself and for the general consumer, you're going to want the seat height right about mid hip level. That still gives you a good leg extension, but doesn't get you too high off the center of the gravity of the bike, so you still feel comfortable getting on and off and in riding in rugged conditions. So I like to go about center hip. The next thing I like to do is make sure I'm in the proper gear to start off on that initial ride. So I like to usually be in gear 3, 4, or lower. I don't want to be in 7th, 8th, 9th gear because that's more of your speed gear. It's going to be harder to take off. So if it is in a higher gear, I like to lean the bike back and I'll just downshift to the gear that I need to be in. So for example, right now I'm in gear 2. Great gear to be in to take off on. Next thing, I like to start them at a power 1 or power 2 setting. I don't want to be up in power 4 or 5. That's too much torque, too much power for the average person, especially if they've never ridden an e-bike before. So start them at power 1. If they're my size, 200 pounds or heavier, I might be in power 2. So I make sure I have that set. The next thing I go through is getting on and off the bike. So instead of leaning way over and kicking your leg over, I like to just slightly lean it over, step through the frame, and then come up on the bike. Then I can easily get up on the saddle, get my feet set, and you're ready to take off. The last thing you want to check, if they have any loose clothing, any baggy clothing, you don't want that to get caught up in the pedals and the chains, so make sure everything is tight and secured with their clothing. And the last thing, offer a helmet. You know, if they're not super comfortable on a bike, safety always first. I'm in power 2 right now. I'm just gonna start pedaling and that motor will engage and I'm off and going. If I'm looking for speed, I'm gonna be up in my 7th, 8th, 9th gear. If I'm going for torque and hill climbing, I'm gonna be down in those lower gears. And one thing to point out is when you're riding, our bikes are equipped with a shift sensor. So every time you shift, the motor will hesitate and shut off briefly, so it's a smooth shift when riding. When beginning to climb a hill, you should recognize that you have a steeper grade in front of you. So what you'll want to do is downshift to a lower gear, the best gear being the first, and that's going to give you the most torque and hill climbing capability. When it comes to downhill travel, it's important to use a combination of both the front and the rear brake for maximum stopping power. When descending down steep hills, you'll want to get your weight further back over the rear tire.